today the House is back in session. And Mike Johnson is saying, yeah, well, actually, this is a verbatim quote. He was on Fox News on Sunday. He said, we've been talking to all the members, especially now over the district work period. When we return after this work period, we'll be moving a product, but it's going to, I think, have some important innovations. Right. One thing he has and people around him have discussed is the possibility of, instead of giving Ukraine money or giving Ukraine weaponry, we should loan them money, which they will then owe to us. Another is that we should send Ukraine seized Russian assets. Either of those things would, be a months-long process, which would be more months of delay. Keep in mind, the Republicans in the House have been delaying this for, what, this is April, right? January, February, it's been 16 months that they have been delaying aid to Ukraine now for almost a year and a half. And the result is that Ukraine is starting to lose against Russia. I mean, Russia is just bombing the crap out of Ukraine right now, and they don't have the means to defend themselves. So what's going to happen? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the titular leader of the Putin caucus in the House of Representatives, came right out and said, I'm going to tell you right now, funding Ukraine is probably one of the most egregious things that Mike Johnson can do. Putin is a former intelligence officer. He understands propaganda. And he's been engaged in what's at least a 2-decade propaganda war against the United States. And his efforts have been so blatant that the chairman of both the House Intelligence Committee and the House Foreign Affairs Committee are warning about what's going on. I mean, Michael McCaul, the Republican from Texas, was blunt, saying that Russian propaganda has infected a good chunk of my party's base. He went on to say, quote, there are some more nighttime entertainment shows, I think he's talking about on Fox News here, that seem to spin like, I see the Russian propaganda in some of it, and it's almost identical to what they're saying on Russian state television on our airwaves. He adds, these people that read various conspiracy theory outlets that are just not accurate, and they actually model Russian propaganda. And then the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, Representative Michael R. Turner, these are both Republicans, by the way. McCaul is a Republican from Texas. Turner's a Republican from Ohio. Turner was equally specific when he was asked if he agrees with McCaul's statement that Russian propaganda has infected a good chunk of my party's base. And he said, quote, oh, it is absolutely true. We are directly coming from Russian attempts to mask communications that are anti-Ukraine and pro-Russian messages, some of which we even hear being uttered on the House floor, end quote. Now, why are Republicans promoting pro-Putin propaganda? Because they know that this is one way to stay in the good graces of Donald Trump. I mean, Scott Perry was doing the same thing on Fox News with Stuart Varney yesterday or the day before, I believe. It just, saying, there's no way Ukraine can ever win against Russia. Why are we flushing good money after bad? I mean, my words, not his, but that was the essence of what he had to say. And Trump rewards this behavior. If you suck up to Putin, if you're a Republican and you suck up to Putin, you get an invitation to Mar-a-Lago. You get Trump, highlighting you and praising. Just ask Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's working out really well for her. But it's not just members of Congress. Elon Musk has promoted Russian propagandists on X and cut off access to Starlink when Ukraine was preparing an attack on the Russian fleet at Crimea. And just this past weekend, RFK Jr. also echoed Putin himself, saying, quote, Putin said, I don't want to go into Crimea. Let's negotiate a peace. All right. And the three things he wanted to keep NATO out of Ukraine. That was number one. He wanted to denazify the Ukrainian government. These are just lies. Putin has himself said he's attacking Ukraine. His attack on Ukraine has nothing to do with NATO. What it's all about is that he doesn't believe Ukraine is a country. He views Ukraine the same way that China views Taiwan, a breakaway, essentially, republic, a breakaway, piece of land that should be ours, essentially. And, you know, in fact, this is what Putin said in a 2022 speech that Bobby Kennedy was essentially just echoing. He said that I just seek to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, as well as bring to trial those who perpetrated numerous bloody crimes against civilians, including against citizens of the Russian Federation. I mean, Putin is just emphatic about this. And here's where it gets really weird with the Republicans. They used to say, and now Bobby Kennedy is, but they used to say that, you know, there's all these Nazis in Ukraine. And then it became widely known that Zelensky was Jewish. So they changed their tact. Instead of attacking Nazis, now they're attacking Jews. This, you know, the Jews are not, you know, Christians, and they don't like Christianity and all that kind of stuff. This is what Marjorie Taylor Greene said on Steve Bannon's podcast just a couple days ago. This is about the 2-year-long attack on Ukraine by Russia. She said, let's talk about what this really is, Steve. This is a war against Christianity. The Ukrainian government is attacking Christians. The Ukrainian government is executing priests. Russia is not doing that. They're not attacking Christianity. As a matter of fact, they seem to be protecting it, end quote. You get this? There have been over 80 priests killed in Ukraine. I believe the number is 86. 100% of them were killed by Russian bombs or Russian soldiers. 100%. But have you noticed that, I mean, this is the essential message of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Hey, have you noticed that Zelensky is Jewish and bloodthirsty dictator Putin loves to claim he's a Christian? I mean, even the new co-chairman of the Republican National Committee has gotten into the let's suck up to Putin and trash America and our allies shtick. Michael Whatley told Maria Bartiromo on Fox News Sunday that Ukraine, like China and Iran, is an enemy of the United States. He said, Joe Biden's feckless leadership has shown China, has shown Ukraine, has shown Iran that they can feel free to be much more aggressive on the world front, to the point that they will even try and meddle with our elections here. This is so wrong. We signed an agreement with Ukraine, Russia, and the United Kingdom in 1994, the Budapest Memorandum. We signed an agreement saying that all three of these countries, the U.S., Great Britain, and Russia, would respect the territorial boundaries of Ukraine in exchange for Ukraine giving the world's second largest stash of nuclear weapons back to Russia. We all signed this. And these Republicans, you know, they just want to walk away from this deal that we made. You know, traitor and treason are not words that you throw around lightly. But I can't see any other words that could describe America's legislators who want to surrender an allied democracy to a bloodthirsty dictator in exchange for groups that, for props from Donald Trump and political help on social media from Russian trolls. And, you know, do not discount this. The Republican members of Congress who are trash-talking Ukraine and trying to stop aid are getting hugely boosted on X and on other social media platforms by those very Russian trolls. So, none dare call it treason? I think not. Call your member of Congress, 202-224-3121, and tell them we need aid for Ukraine now.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
It's talk media for the sane among us. I'll be right back with more of the news of the day and your calls. Stay tuned.